I'm going to beat you into the living death.
Mixed martial arts pisses me off! Welcome to another episode of Yelling About Mixed Martial Arts, the show where I yell about mixed martial arts. Frankly, for the last few weeks, I haven't wanted to yell about mixed martial arts, because as MMA is often a parable for life itself, when it's good, it's great, and when it sucks, it's an interwoven, complicated web of bullshit that only serves to bother the ever-loving fuck out of me. This sentiment arose in me a few weeks ago, starting with this man. This terrible, terrible, terrible man who also happens to be the greatest fighter of all time. Let me tell you a little story about a time that I encountered a Jon Jones fan in the wild. It was at a sports bar during the event where he was fighting Anthony Lionheart Smith. As the fight began, I was rooting for Lionheart, and the man next to me, a Jon Jones fan, asked me why I was not rooting for Jones. I replied with the standard laundry list of Jon Jones transgressions, from the hit and run on the pregnant woman, to driving around like the Frito Bandito, blasting his gun into the air at all hours of the night, to his dirty fighting in the cage, to his failed drug tests. Well, of course, the stock response, as a typical Jon Jones fan would do, was the man called me a salty hater. And as Anthony Lionheart Smith ate the mat and got his ass kicked, this man next to me proceeded to yell the word picograms at me for the rest of the evening as I sulked into my Fiesta fries and ding-a-ling chicken zingers. I bring up that story to illustrate the fact that always blows my mind with Jon Jones fans. The willingness that they have to overlook every disgusting thing that man has done outside of the cage simply for the fact that he is the greatest fighter of all time. If I'm salty because of those things, you're a dick rider because of his greatness. Fuck that! You don't think I'd like to be a Jon Jones fan? He's the GOAT. I would love to be a Jon Jones fan. But with as broken a moral compass as even I have, sorry if I have to draw the line at using your wife as a punching bag in a Las Vegas hotel room with your kids present. One drop of alcohol and this guy turns into Jake the Muss, then sobers up and rediscovers God for the 400th time. Faker than the tap that Alistair Overeem clearly felt.
I actually admire that you can actually be this fake and like when the TV comes on, how you can just change. It's like you're a chameleon.
You said it, man.
Sadly, and most disturbing to me, is the fact that fakeness works for him every time. There are no permanent consequences ever for Jon Jones. He gets kicked out of the promotion, he's back. His wife leaves, she's back. The gym disowns him, he's back. The fans never leave because they're a bunch of fucking idiots, and we go right back into the cycle again because he kicky punchy really good. Is Jon Jones the greatest of all time? Yes. Is he a phony, arrogant, two-faced, cheating abuser who gets by on his greatness alone? Yes. Do I have to like any of it? Motherfucking no! Fast forward to last week where Merab Dvalishvili big brothered Petr Yan for 5 rounds without breaking a sweat. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. I think Merab Dvalishvili is a great fighter, and I believe it was Johnny Cochran who said, if you can't handle the grapple, do not chop the Adam's apple. The thing that did bother me, though, is the fact that I've followed Petr Yan's career since his very first fight in the UFC. And even back then, I said, this man is going to be champion one day. Little did I know that the same knee that would spark the greatest acting career of all time would also be the first fallen domino in his eventual downward spiral. And what a ridiculous starting point that knee is in the first place. I don't care if you speak English or not. If you are fighting in the UFC, perhaps 2 words that should be in your lexicon are downed opponent. It's crazy to think that one knee could change the entire trajectory of a person's career, but sometimes one knee is all it takes. The fact that knee belongs to someone who once had such potential for dominance such as Petr Yan has led us to the path directly to Scott Coker's front door is one tough pierogi to swallow, comrade. And that brings us all the way up to last Saturday when Leon Edwards successfully defended the welterweight title of the world against Kamaru Usman in front of a raucous crowd at the O2 Arena in London, England. I thought this was a great thing. For years, Leon Edwards was a fighter that, despite an amazing record, had been overshadowed by the comic book villains in the welterweight division, not getting the opportunity nor attention that he deserved. What I didn't think was so great was the myriad of fouls that he committed in securing the belt for a second time. You had glove grabs, you had nut shots, you had fence grabs, you had eye pokes. If Leon Edwards had gotten a point taken away by Herb Dean for every foul that he committed during that fight, he would have had to have started a GoFundMe just to stay on the judges' scorecards. Fine, whatever, not gonna split hairs. London's happy, I'm happy. Congratulations, Leon Edwards. Then Dana comes out and says Captain Tryhard himself, Colby Covington, is getting the next title shot because much like Whose Line Is It Anyway, the UFC is a place where the rankings are made up and merit does not matter. As Tommy Tohold said on the MMA On Point recap of the event, the UFC does not consider itself a sports organization, but rather an entertainment product. As such, its pro wrestling heels may get the title shots, but they are willing to sponsor an off-Broadway performance of Waiting for Godot starring Bilal Muhammad and Benil Dariush. And as the parable continues to write itself, it just goes to show that life ain't fair, being an MMA fan ain't fair, and sometimes the only way to cope is by laughing at memes and trolling other like-minded idiots. So in this new segment of Yelling About Mixed Martial Arts, let's take a look at some of the memes, insights, and interactions that I've had across the social media wasteland that is the MMA online discourse. Alright, first off, we got this meme that I made myself of Colby with his mean guy pouty face on, swooping into the weigh-ins like he didn't already have his jaw broken by Kamaru and have his teeth turned into rock candy in the streets of Miami by Jorge Masvidal. Not that I condone that kind of thing whatsoever. I just think it's an amazing commitment to the bit that this guy has, even though I do think he's a complete dork. In the comment section, one person says he beat Kamaru, but close ones always go to the guy with the belt, to which someone else replied, in other words, he lost twice. Perfect rebuttal. Eerily reminiscent of an exchange that I remember from something involving Dominic Reyes, I believe. Elsewhere in the comment section, someone says, Sergey volunteers to be backup for Jones gone, and no one has a problem with that, but Colby can't do it, ? Sir, those are apples and oranges situations. You are comparing a Porsche 911 to a Ford Fiesta and saying both of them are cars. Sure they are, but in this clown show, there are levels. And one other person commenting on me, myself, and my profile picture from when I had longer hair says the dude with the girly hair, laugh, laugh, laugh emojis. Well, let me tell you something, sir. Long hair, short hair, it doesn't matter to your mother. She likes me for me. Next up is this one. It just made me laugh. Not necessarily because I can relate to the caption, but more so because any Vanderlei Silva meme is gonna get a chuckle out of me. These memes have been circulating in the MMA world for a very long time, but I'm still laughing at, it looked like a leprechaun to me.
All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else in the leprechaun say yeah?
So anytime I see Vanderlei Silva, whether it be a wanna now or I can't let you get too close, I'm going to slap the old knee. Next up, a slightly more serious one in this image of Michael Venom Page's response to the absolutely brutal decimation he inflicted upon the kneecap of Goiti Yamauchi in Bellator. Michael Venom Page's response was absolutely fine. He's talking about not wanting to lay people out for a long time and the like. Nothing wrong with that. My response, however, was he said the same thing to Cyborg Santos after rolling a Pokeball at his crushed skull. Now, my mistake here was putting the roll eyes emoji at the end of it because that made it seem a little bit more serious and critical of Page than I was trying to be. It was supposed to be a little bit more lighthearted, even though it was a brutal, brutal cave-in of that skull. For sure, the fact that Santos is even still alive is amazing. However, everyone in the comment section was really going on to say that, oh, he was not aware at the time of how bad the injury was and he apologized and all of that kind of thing. All of that is absolutely fine. My comment really was more to shed light on how absolutely cringe and goofy it was that he whipped out the Pokeball and trainer outfit in the first place. Clownish buffoonery as the man is laying on the ground near lifeless. Finally, we have this one, and even though it is from before Power Slap was banished to some third-rate app never to be heard from again, I still give it Thinkers This Is the Truest Shit I Have Ever Seen in My Goddamn Life award. Power Slap is already well on its way, but I cannot wait until it is a faded, evaporated memory in the far reaches of our mind, only to be recalled as the one thing Dana White wanted to work out so badly, yet no one else on planet Earth ever fucking did. Here lies Power Slap 2023 to 2023. Look how they massacred my boy. Well, all of that really sucked, and I hate everything. For yelling about mixed martial arts, this is Thinker St. James, reminding you that if you care this much about MMA, you too are a fucking moron. I just want to briefly touch upon the situation with Jeff Molina. I'm sure by now most MMA fans know what I'm talking about. Jeff, I don't know you personally, but I have seen you fight and I've heard you in interviews a number of times now, and every time you've come across as a kind-hearted, respectful, very affable fighter, and I cannot imagine something so insanely personal and private being weaponized in the way that this situation has played out. I can't imagine what you're going through. I hope that you have the strength to deal with the absolute bullshit that you're probably going to be receiving from the MMA community, because as this video has shown, it is among the most troglodytic fucking cesspool of human excrement possibly to ever exist at its worst. At its best, you do have some amazing people in it, and know that those people are the ones that support you. And I just hope that it is not something that is going to have negative repercussions down the road for you.